Last week, President Trump announced his new plan to lower the cost of popular weight loss drugs like Wegovy and Zepbound, making them more affordable for millions of Americans. But there are still questions about how much prices will really drop and who really will benefit from these changes. To help us sort through what this could mean for patients, we're joined by Dr. Sarah Nadeem, an endocrinologist and assistant professor at Baylor College of Medicine. Dr. Nadeem, welcome to Hello Houston.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. Thank you for having me.
And if you would like to join the conversation, you can give us a call or send us a text, 713-440-8870. Now, Dr. Nadeem, before we jump into the latest on the news side of these weight loss drugs, you are an endocrinologist. You're trained in diabetes, endocrinology, and metabolism, right? So you've been working with GLP-1s way before they were being used for weight loss. Can you just give us a brief, kind of history on GLP-1s and kind of how they've now become this major new weight loss, I don't know if I want to call it protocol, therapy, I don't know. But yes.
Sure. So you're absolutely right, Celeste. The GLP-1s have been around since about over 20 years or so. So back in 2005, we had the first commercially approved GLP-1, which was called Byetta. It was a twice-a-day injection. And that was the newest diabetes medicine in a while, because for diabetes management, we've had the same old medications for a long time. And this was exciting at that time because this was new. But it was an injection. It was twice a day, and it was expensive.
Was this to treat diabetes 1 or 2?
Type 2 diabetes, yeah. So, and then with that, they started working on, once a day, and that was Victoza, which was in 2010. And then they realized it was also causing weight loss, and they studied that more and more. Initially, this was discovered, from a Gila monster. It's a lizard, which can eat 30 to 50 times its weight and, kind of survive on that and stay healthy.
Okay, wait, slow your roll here. Okay, the Gila monster, we've all seen it. It's like on the island or some island or something. Okay, how did the Gila monster play a role in this?
So you see, our bodies do make GLP-1, right? But our bodies make it in the stomach and also some part of the brain, and but it breaks down really quickly in the gut, and so we're seeing it's made in the gut, but it has an effect in the brain, although it's broken down in minutes. So how does that work? So they tried to identify something that's similar to what our body makes, and they found that there was an angler fish, and it was the Gila monster.
Really?
Wow,
yes.
That is fascinating.
It is interesting. It's like kiss a pig.
So, fast forward us to now. So clearly they're seeing that these drugs, or these GLPs are having major effects. How did it go from, I'm a doctor, I'm going to treat diabetes, to now, if you want to look good, you can have it.
Or was it the big farm?
Do you cringe a little bit, Dr. Nadeem?
So, I feel obesity, and I believe obesity is a disease. So a lot of times I felt like obesity was treated like, it's your personal failing, kind of.
You're not disciplined
enough.
enough.
You're not disciplined enough. You should eat better, or you should exercise more. And I've seen so many patients who've been doing that, but their genetics, their lifestyle, it kind of is stacked against them, right? And it's so hard to lose weight. And they discovered that we have kind of like a broken thermostat in people who are overweight or obese. Even if they try really hard, our body actually fights it. They lose some weight, and it tries to bring it back up to that temperature, like that thermostat. So these medications really enable us to kind of get to the root of that and fight against that and help them lose the weight and maintain it in a healthy way. But yes, when I see people who really don't need weight loss and are like a normal, healthy weight, BMI, everything, and, it's just like, before summer starts, I'm going to drop a few pounds, and they're getting this, not from their physicians or providers, but, over the internet. That is where I feel that may actually be harmful.
Sure. And for so long, we've heard elected officials here in the U.S. talking about obesity and it being an endemic and things like that. Do you think GLP-1s, given your knowledge, your experience, and your expertise, knowing that it was being treated for something, we now have seen it come out to be able to treat, like you said, obesity. Do you think it is being used in the right way?
I do think in the majority, yes. In fact, I feel like more people should have access to it. So diabetes and obesity are linked together. They're both metabolic disorders, diabetes type 2. And so when they discovered that it's helping the sugars but also causing weight loss, that's when then the Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Zepbound came out. So I think it's being used in the majority in a good way. Yes, there is a small segment which doesn't need it, who may not benefit from it.
Which you'll always somewhat have, right?
Yes, exactly. With any benefit, right? With the internet when it came out, there's a lot of good, but there's a little bit of bad as well,
Sure.
right?
Well, and they always say, and it's true, that these GLP-1s should be used with a better diet and exercise.
Absolutely.
And I've been on them for a while, and that is true. And when I do a better job of my eating and my exercising, they work better for me. They basically kind of kill your appetite. I mean,
Yeah.
that's sort of the idea.
So how do they work?
Yes. So they work in a couple of different ways. And what they do is they're made in the gut, but they go out, to the nerves in the brain as well. And they act at a region in the brain which makes us feel fuller. So we'll stop eating quicker, right? Because a lot of times if you have obesity, that brain signal is kind of affected and it doesn't tell you to stop when you're full and you kind of overeat. So that signal kind of gets awakened there. And it also acts on the gut, the stomach, the whole small intestine, large intestine. It slows everything down so you feel full. So it's
longer.
Yes, for longer, yeah. It takes a while for food to kind of move down.
It can also take away your desire for alcohol to some degree.
Yes, and that's what's being studied. So alcohol, smoking, any kind of addiction. So the satiety center in our brain is where, we feel good. Like, so some people binge eat because they feel good about it. It's the same thing. So it kind of numbs that, and that's why they're actually studying it in people where, it's been proposed as a cure for people with, alcoholism and other kind of addictions, drug addictions as well.
Right.
Well, let me jump in here because you had mentioned BMI. And I was saying just
You were
the
just
other
talking
day.
about this.
Well, I weigh 204 pounds. And I know this because I went to the doctor the other day. And I was horrified. But anyway, and I'm 5'11".
Yes.
I'm obese. I have a BMI of 27. And so you could imagine that this rule that Trump's coming up with, that you have to be a certain threshold, it's going to be pretty easy to get there. If I'm obese, everybody's obese.
Well, Dr. Nadeem,
Except the two of you. Y'all look great.
I'm not going to tell you how much I weigh on the radio. But to Frank's point, I guess my question would then be, President Trump has now said that he is going to be lowering the cost. GLP-1 medications, including Wegovy and Zepbound, currently list price of more $1,000 for a month-long supply. That is very expensive. Under President Trump's deal, that would bring the price down to on average, about $350, and as low as $50 for those who have a copay. You mentioned that you think more people essentially could benefit from this. Do you think this is the right way to go about it through this type of policy? Do you think this is the right way that we can potentially really help Americans become healthier?
So I think that's a nuanced answer. So multifactorial is how we should be addressing the obesity epidemic. And
Sure.
it has gone down, actually. So there was a peak about 2022 where about 39% of U.S. Citizens were obese adults. Now it's gone down to 37. So it is improving, and it is with the onset of the GLP-1s. So to your question on the BMI is one tool, and it has a lot of faults. It's not a perfect tool because, yes, it only looks at the weight and the height, and that's it.
Yeah.
But actually, so the Obesity Society is advocating for using more of the waist circumference and other tools, body composition, to get a better idea of, not just the weight.
Well, to Celeste's point, we had a text saying since prices for medications could go down, this says will go down, but I guess they could go down. So will more people get approved for the medication? And right now, insurance companies are very strict
With qualifications,
about the qualifications.
yes.
So will those be relaxed a little bit?
Yes, so that's the positive on this new policy for sure. Like if Medicare has negotiated this lower price, then other insurances will be obligated to kind of come down and kind of not be as strict about it, because even if you meet the criteria and you have obesity with complications like sleep apnea and everything, sometimes your insurance company, there are some insurance companies that blanket don't approve obesity medicines, and I think that's discriminatory and it shouldn't be happening.
Right.
So we need to, yes, bringing the cost down is great. Even now, people on certain insurances can get Zepbound for a $25 copay.
Okay.
But that's not everybody, right? And then you can also get certain medications direct from
Eli Lilly.
Eli Lilly for less amount, like I think it's about $500.
Yes.
Well, and let me follow up on this because, okay, let's say you get this great deal and you're on Zepbound, and 6 months down the road, it worked. You look great. Your glucose is great. Your cholesterol is great. You feel good. Can the insurance company now say, all right, we're not going to keep paying for this. You now need to come off of it because you no longer qualify?
It shouldn't, but it can, right?
Yeah, right.
So from a medical point of view, it shouldn't, because it's just like a blood pressure pill, right? When
So
your
you think it's a chronic condition and we should treat it
yes.
for life?
Which we
Absolutely.
did get a YouTube question. Is it true that you snap back to your previous weight when you quit taking GLP-1s?
Which is in line with what I was just saying.
Yep.
Right. So not everybody. So the majority of people that have been studied who've come off versus those who've continued on a low dose maintenance dose will have much of the weight regained. Now, the people who have not regained that weight did make those changes with lifestyle, right? So you have to build more muscle. You have to take more protein. You have to work out. You will lose the weight easily, but if you don't maintain your muscle, you'll be the first one to kind of regain it back. But for the majority of obese patients, I would not want to stop it, because if their blood pressure is good on a blood pressure med, I won't stop the blood pressure med. It's the same thing with obesity, right? You'd go down to the lowest dose, which will maintain them, because obesity, their body is wired that way. And if we take that medicine away, then we're kind of putting them back in the same risks.
So there was even a study that I read about, and I will defer to you as the expert, that it might play some role in helping dementia.
Yes, you were right. You read the right study. They're studying that a lot. It does not have the labeling for it, but yes, and that's where, the central action. So the part we understand is it comes from the gut, and it, after you eat something, even if you took an IV and your blood glucose went high, your own body's incretins don't release. But this is from the outside, and there is some effect on the brain. It may preserve brain cells, just the way that it may help preserve the beta cells, which are in the pancreas, which make insulin. So there is that, and it's approved for sleep apnea, separate from weight. And there's probably going to be indications approved soon about addiction as well.
Dr. Nadeem, something that we received an email, and something that I've been thinking about also is age. How young do you think that, I understand, I don't remember exactly. We received an email from a lady who asked about young girls looking at this potentially as something
The ones on Botox that are 18.
Lose. Right.
I know, it's crazy.
What are your thoughts on age limits?
So the FDA has approved it for, the youngest is age 12. But strict criteria. So I think that's where, it's very important that this should still be considered a drug. Right?
Yes.
Each drug has benefits and side effects. And I think a growing brain also, it hasn't been studied in, younger adolescents. And to use it as Botox or just another kind of makeup. Aesthetic purpose, that's not the purpose of it, right? Because it has a lot of some side effects, and you don't want to kind of have more risk than benefits. Any medicine, any drug, you prescribe it only when you see the good outweighs the harm, right? So in a younger person, and even people with eating disorders, that's where, I think this should be regulated better, because I see it being passed out by med spas, and I don't think that's the responsible way to prescribe it.
I can see someone who has anorexia or bulimia obviously has a body image issue, and this might stave that off and help them before they get to that point.
Yes, in certain situations. So that's where it's nuanced, right? So that's where I feel like an endocrinologist or obesity specialist with a psychiatrist working together. Because there is a little bit of warning that they've seen that semaglutide may increase depression risk as well. So the studies are kind of a little conflicting right now, but that warning is on there. So you have to be careful.
Yeah.
Dr. Nadeem, as you sit here, what would you want our listeners to take away and really understand about GLP-1s? I mean, you've said so much wonderful information, but what is there anything that really sticks out to you?
So what I want, the listeners understanding about GLP-1s is GLP-1s or GIP. There are an excellent new medicine which has shown many benefits. There are some side effects also, but it's not an all or none phenomena. And if your doctor has advised you to be on a GLP-1, I have patients who, will really benefit from it, but they've read something in the media and they're like, I don't need it. So always have a discussion and realize that, the benefits of GLP-1s, if they are higher for you, you should be on it, but under the close guidance of somebody who's been prescribing this, using this for years, has been trained to do this, and don't buy it off the internet, don't buy it, from another country, because it can harm you if it's not regulated in the proper way. But I think these are fabulous medications for the people who, it's indicated for, people with obesity, sleep apnea, and other disorders.
My nutritionist is who I was seeing at the time is who recommended it for me, and I would think that, like you said, sometimes it takes a psychiatrist to step in. I think if a nutritionist steps in also,
Absolutely.
it's not just about a medical doctor, but someone who's really studied nutrition that can help guide you to eat properly while you're on these medications, and
Right.
that is key.
Like
For
a
sure.
holistic approach to this.
Always,
Yes.
always. In anything, it's never medicine or nutrition or lifestyle. It's always like nutrition, lifestyle, exercise, and medicine.
Here's a really good question. Can we take this if we're pregnant or breastfeeding? Will it affect the fetus?
Or the newborn.
So no, we do not advise it to be taken when you're pregnant or breastfeeding because it has not been studied in pregnant or breastfeeding patients. But the caveat there is actually women, they can improve their fertility because if you're obese or overweight, you may not be ovulating and be infertile. So it's actually used quite a bit in people to get their weight down, so that improves their fertility. But it should be stopped before you conceive.
What about men? We could be infertile too.
Yes, but I don't think they've seen a direct connection
No?
in men. Yes, but with this, yes. Yeah.
I was just wondering.
Well, obesity in men does cause low testosterone
Right.
and may affect the fertility bit. So yes, it could
The
be
goal
used.
is to be healthy all the way around.
All the way
Absolutely.
around.
Yeah.
Yes. Anything else, Dr. Nadeem? You are just a well of knowledge, and I feel like I want to talk so much more with you about this.
While we're on the subject of diabetes,
Yes.
where does that stand? I have friends that are on it. Some of them can't regulate properly, and they have to take shots 4 times a day. Where's the hope with people who are suffering from diabetes?
So diabetes, I feel like GLP-1s are, the biggest game changer for people with diabetes. And there's a lot of shift in thought that needs to happen, even with physicians, because you can have a perfect blood glucose and be on 4 shots or 5 shots a day of insulin, but that's not decreasing your risk of heart attack or stroke or even protecting your kidneys. And the GLP-1s like Ozempic and, Mounjaro will decrease your risk of heart attack, stroke, and protect your kidneys. So every single day, I'm switching people or decreasing their insulin and starting them on Ozempic. Because I'd like to give them like a multiple benefit for one, right? It'll decrease your weight, it'll bring your sugars great, and decrease risk of heart attack and stroke. Because we can decrease the sugars down to, perfect with insulin, but most diabetics still have heart attacks and strokes, and that's kind of the serious danger there.
Wow. You are. Thank you so much for all this.
Yes, Dr. Sarah Nadeem is an endocrinologist and assistant professor at Baylor College of Medicine. Dr. Nadeem, thank you for joining us today on Hello Houston.
Thank you so much. A pleasure.